As we're dealing with key decision makers such as yourself, those people that are focused on the overall operational success and profitability of a major organization, we kind of identify three key problems and challenges that are typically faced. The first problem is visibility and accountability. We'd sure like in our organization to be able to see what's going on and to hold people accountable for their actions. The second is the desire to really streamline a process and to improve the overall flow of the organization. And the third is pretty obvious. It's to control cost and reduce expenses. Texas A&M University conducted a survey with regards to equipment utilization and its impact on the overall bottom line of major industrial and commercial firms. And of their survey, 82% of respondents said that high utilization had a direct impact on creating a higher ROI. However, of those respondents, 46% did not track utilization. With RSC, what we found is on average, 24% of all rental transactions go beyond their original anticipated off-rent date. So 24% are past due. And whenever they go past due, it's not for one day. It's typically on average 15 days past due. So how do we kind of summarize this study from Texas A&M University? Well, it really comes down to one thing. Utilization equals profit. So let's talk about a strategy that we can make sure that utilization truly does equate to profit. In talking with a number of other firms that are concerned about their equipment and tool rental programs, we kind of identify some real common characteristics. Typically, today's process consists of fragmentation. There's a lot of decentralization within an organization. And a lot of times that's a necessary component of doing business. We typically have a lot of different people involved in these processes. We may have a number of different vendors that we're choosing to partner with, which creates a number of different systems for tracking and managing those programs. And lastly, we have a number of different crafts that we're trying to supply equipment and tools for. So what's the result of today's current structure? Well, the result is three things. One is too much. And what we mean by that is too much equipment. Orders often get duplicated. Equipment gets hoarded between employees. It also equates to too long. Equipment's kept on rent for far longer than it's needed. And the last is too complex. A number of different systems and strategies are employed, everything from sticky notes to customized spreadsheets to try and track and manage this program. And we often hear a story about swivel time in which employees are swiveling back and forth between different equipment management programs, trying to grasp the overall picture. So what's the result of too much, too long, and too complex? Well, the first is too much money being spent. The second is too much time being spent on the equipment program. And the last is probably the most important. It's too many of your people. People are your most valuable asset. And too many of your people involved in this process creates a problem. At best, today's market is reactive and fragmented. So we've established where we are today. Well, how do we get to where we want to be in the future? Well, we need to accomplish that by equipment management, and we need to do so without falling into the abyss of too much, too long, and too complex. And a number of organizations choose to try and tackle this goal of moving from today to the future by focusing first and foremost on price. And what we found is that focusing specifically on price, and what we mean by that is specific line items and advantageous terms, leads to about 1/6 the financial impact of focusing on the true problems of too much, too long, and too complex. So how do we bridge that gap from today to tomorrow without falling into that abyss? Well, we do so by creating a bridge. And that bridge goes back to those three challenges that we focused on at the beginning. The first is visibility and accountability. What if your company could have improved visibility and create accountability among your employees by having better management and a better grasp of the overall rental program. And that can be done by a number of companies, through their partnership with RSC and the utilization of total control to really optimize the rental process. And some organizations actually choose to utilize GPS technology to not only find out where equipment is, but also how much it's actually being utilized. And the second that we focused on with regards to those challenges is the streamlining of processes. And what we mean by that is creating a repeatable program throughout your organization that really focuses and aligns itself with your overall goals. And this can be accomplished by utilizing RSC's managed services strategy, in which you have a true advocate working on your behalf towards these goals. And the last is really cost control and reduction. And by creating a specific scorecard in which you measure the progress of your program and benchmark yourself against others within your industry, you're able to continually drive down costs and create a series of best practices. And by focusing on these three challenges and specifically addressing them, we create a bridge from today to where we want to be in the future. And we do so without falling into this abyss of too much, too long, and too complex, with an overall result of 6 times that of focusing on price alone. So let's look at the future and where we would be after implementing a program like this. This program is pretty unique. It's called RSC Consumption Management. And the result of RSC Consumption Management is this. We truly create an aligned rental program throughout our organization, one that is consistent from top to bottom and really aligns itself with your overall goals. That rental program now becomes a proactive, repeatable rental program, moving away from the old reactive fragmented rental process. And this is really what best-in-class organizations are doing. They're partnering, just like you can, to create an RSC consumption model specific to their organization that bridges from today to tomorrow and addresses the current problems at hand. So let's look at an example of a successful RSC consumption management program. RSC's partnered with a major global oil and gas company and produced some pretty astounding results. Take a look at some numbers. 35, 28, and 3. By utilizing a customized RSC consumption management program, this particular organization exhibited a 35% increase in equipment utilization. This resulted in a 28% decrease in equipment rental costs. All of this was accomplished in just 3 months. So let's talk about how you and RSC can partner together to create a program specific to your organization.